Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Rabbi David Levine. It's Erev Shabbat, Friday, December 19th, 2025, and we're celebrating the sixth night of Hanukkah tonight. Please greet one another in the comments with Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah, and let us know where you're joining from. And while you're at it, please click share and like on the Facebook post and help spread the good news. Thank you also for your generosity and financial support. If you want to stand with us, you can find all the information on our webpage, bethisraelnow.com/giving. Now let's begin our study and pray together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshenu b'mitzvotav etzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with his commands and commands us to engross ourselves in the words of Torah. Every year at this season, the world talks about Jesus. Nativity scenes are displayed, Christmas pageants are staged, Christmas carols are sung. And yet, something extraordinary happens. The Jewishness of the Christmas story often disappears right in front of our eyes. Years ago, I shared a message called 4 Jewish Secrets at Christmastime. Truths that are not hidden because they're obscure, but because people don't know how to recognize them, or even worse, they want them ignored or forgotten. Tonight, I want to return to those 4 Jewish secrets and show why they matter more than ever in a world where anti-Semitism is rising and the heresy of replacement theology is being revived. When the Jewishness of the Messiah is rejected or forgotten, Jewish people become endangered. Here's the secret number 1. Jesus celebrated Hanukkah, and so did his disciples. John chapter 10, verse 22 tells us, "Then came the feast of dedication in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple in Solomon's colonnade." That's from the NIV, the New International Version, one of the most widely used English Bibles. And there's a footnote that says that is Hanukkah. It's right there, but often overlooked. Some Bibles don't even have that. As you may know, Hanukkah means dedication. It was not a Torah holiday. The events that Hanukkah commemorates took place after the writing of the Torah. Hanukkah celebrates the rededication of the temple after desecration. It also commemorates Jewish resistance to forced assimilation. And Yeshua chose to be there in the temple for the celebration of Hanukkah. Not only that, the book of Acts tells us that the early believers gathered repeatedly in Solomon's colonnade, the very same place. This is mentioned 3 times in the book of Acts. Acts 2, verse 46, every day the disciples continued to meet together in the temple courts. Acts 3, verse 11, they all rushed out in amazement to Solomon's colonnade, where the lame man who was healed was holding tightly to Peter and John. In Acts 5, verse 12, the apostles performed many signs and wonders among the people, and all the believers used to meet together in Solomon's colonnade. This matters because Hanukkah reminds us that our people refused to let go of God in our Jewishness. Our people said, "We will not let go of your covenant. We will not surrender our calling. We will not erase who we are in order to survive, and we will not allow your light to be extinguished." Yeshua and his disciples modeled Hanukkah tenacity. Replacement theology begins by spiritualing this moment away in these kinds of moments. But Yeshua does the opposite. Yeshua stands inside of Jewish history with the Jewish people, not outside of Jewish history and far away from our people. We can follow his pattern, and we can hold on to Messiah and God's great purposes. And as Messianic believers, we know that God is holding on to us. Hanukkah can also encourage us to be strong, knowing that he will reward us with courage to live for him. Hanukkah can help us understand Yeshua's teaching in Matthew 24, verses 12 and 13. Because of the increase of lawlessness, much love will grow cold, but the one who stands firm and holds on to the purpose to the end will be saved. Yeshua teaches that our love can stay strong even when we see much love around us growing cold. We can hold on. That's Hanukkah tenacity, Mishpacha. Now, secret number 2. The first people to be happy about the birth of Jesus were Jewish. Did you know that the first people to rejoice about the birth of Jesus were Jews? That's in the Bible. Let's read about three of them: Miriam, Shimon, and Hannah. And listen carefully to what they celebrate. His mother, Miriam, you might know her as Mary, rejoices because this child is proof that God is faithful to the Jewish people. She declares in Luke chapter 1, verses 53 and 54, he has helped his servant Israel, remembering his mercy to Abraham and his descendants forever. Shimon sees the baby in the Jerusalem temple with his parents and declares God's faithfulness in Luke chapter 2, verses 30 through 32. He declares, "For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the sight of all nations, a light for revelation to the Gentiles and the glory of your people Israel." Notice that Israel is not erased for the nations to come in. Replacement theology always ignores this. It says Israel may have once been the vehicle, but now we've arrived and Israel is out. Hateful Jewish rejection is always part of replacement theology. But Scripture says Israel is the root and the trunk of the tree of faith. The nations are branches grafted in. Replacement theology is a dangerous heresy. Christian supersessionism, that's a fancy name for replacement theology, says the church replaces Israel. Islamic tradition has a similar kind of replacement theology. They replace Isaac with Ishmael and rewrite the covenant line. Islam replaces the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob with the children of Ishmael. Islamic tradition presents an alternative sacred narrative that replaces the biblical covenant line through Isaac. That's how the promised land is taken away from the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and transferred to Ishmael. There is also what I call replacement ideology, political ideology that replaces Jewish legitimacy with anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist conspiracies and hate-filled accusations. Christian replacement theology, Islamic replacement theology, and all the forms of modern replacement ideology may be different systems, but they all make the same moves. They reject the Jewish people. They reject God's love for the Jewish people. They reject the scriptures that teach about God's faithfulness to the Jewish people. They replace and remove the Jewish people in God's faithful promises. They ignore or rewrite the scriptures, and ultimately they side with hate-filled, even violent, and genocidal actions. Replacement theology and replacement ideology are diabolical in their effects because they ultimately reject the Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, by rejecting the people he came from. They reject the Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, and his teachings. We stand up against these evils wherever and whenever they rise up, from the political left and the political right, from secular voices and religious ones, from Democrats and Republicans, from liberals and conservatives, from Christians and from Muslims, from secular people and from believers. I'm not judging hearts. I'm evaluating public rhetoric and its impact. Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, to name three social influencers, are promoting anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. And we will stand firm and stand strong. We say never again is right now. We will not forget. We will follow the Jewish Messiah, Yeshua, and stand with our Jewish people. So now let's turn to the next Jewish secret at Christmas time. Secret number 3. Jesus' mom called him Yeshua, not Jesus. Mary, did not call her son Jesus. She called him Yeshua. That's a Hebrew name. It's a covenant name. It's a name that means salvation from God. Matthew explains in Matthew chapter 1, verse 21, she will give birth to a son, and you shall give him the name Yeshua, because he will save his people from their sins. This name Yeshua means something in Hebrew. Call him this because he will save his people from their sins. Salvation from God. That's what to call him, because he will save. So not only did Miriam call him Yeshua, but Joseph also did. It was a family thing. As the story of Yeshua moved into other languages, the name was transformed. It was nothing sinister, just the common way that names change as they move around. It's the same thing happened to Moses. His given name was Moshe, but it became Moses by the time it got to English. Same for Yeshua. His given name was Yeshua, but it became Jesus by the time it got to English. Here's the thing. Yeshua is a great name. It's filled with meaning. And let's notice something. Yeshua is a name that has a really good Jewish feel, doesn't it? There it is, hidden in plain sight, another Jewish secret at Christmas time. You shall call him Yeshua because he will save his people from their sins. Which people? His people, the Jewish people. Replacement theology stubbornly rejects this and says something like this. Well, he saves everyone except the Jewish people he came from. But Yeshua never stopped being Jewish. He never stopped honoring Torah in the Jewish scriptures. He never stopped identifying with his Jewish people and with Israel's suffering. Rabbinic tradition speaks of the leper Messiah, one who sits among the afflicted, not apart from them. A Messiah who replaces Israel is just not biblical. A Messiah who suffers with Israel is. And when Jewish identity is stripped from Yeshua, Jewish people eventually become strangers to their own Messiah. Now, let's look at secret number 4. The first people to use Christ as a synonym for Messiah were Jews who spoke Greek. Christ was a Jewish word before it was a Christian word. The word Christ did not begin in Rome. It began in the Septuagint, the Jewish Greek translation of the scriptures. Jewish translators chose Christos as the stand-in for the Hebrew Mashiach, the anointed one. So the first people to say Yeshua, the Christ, were Jews explaining Jewish hope in another language. Why does this matter? Because when Christ is detached from Messiah and Messiah is detached from Israel, then faith becomes abstract, without history and without Jewishness, and the abstraction allows replacement. Anti-Semitism uses that replacement for diabolical purposes. This Hanukkah, let's dedicate ourselves again, not only to remembering who Yeshua is, but to standing with the people he calls his own. I want to encourage you to be lighthearted and joyful about these crazy facts. Many in the world around us are stopping to think about, even worship the Jewish Messiah. That is an incredible secret worth telling others about. Let's remember the birth of Yeshua the Messiah, even though early believers didn't celebrate a Christmas holiday, and lots of early believers thought Yeshua was not born this time of year. And yes, we can remember that Christmas traditions are not biblical. They aren't Jewish, and some are originally from pagan practices and holidays. But it's still amazing, isn't it, that after all these years, the Bible text still has all these Jewish secrets. They're hidden in plain view. So there you have it, 4 Jewish secrets at Christmas time. Hanukkah Sameach, happy Hanukkah. I hope you can celebrate Hanukkah at Beth Israel Messianic Synagogue in Jacksonville, Florida, in person tomorrow. Our Shabbat service will feature special Hanukkah-themed worship. We'll have a special message with Hanukkah readings, and you're invited for our Hanukkah Oneg in our Shalom Center next door. We'll have potato latkes and sufganiyot, that's the Israeli way of saying donuts, and we'll have delicious Krispy Kreme donuts on Saturday. Before we close with Aaron's blessing, we want to thank everyone for your faithful giving. We're grateful for your generosity, your cheerfulness, and your consistency. Proverbs 11, verse 25 says, "Those who are generous will prosper, and those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed." When we are generous with our tithes and offerings, we are expressing gratitude to the Lord for his care and his provision. And he tells us that the generous ones will prosper. The ones who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Thanks also to everyone who's making special offerings above and beyond your tithes to our Safety and Security Fund that helps cover the cost of our JSO officers. Also, thanks to everyone who makes special offerings for Onegs and the hospitality ministry at the Shalom Center. If this ministry has helped you grow, encouraged your walk, or brought peace into your home, would you consider standing with us financially? Visit bethisraelnow.com/giving for details about our online giving platforms, Giving Fire and PayPal, and our mailing address for checks and your bank bill pay service. For those who make special end-of-year donations, please consider including Beth Israel. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. Your support helps us freely share the message of hope in Messiah Yeshua worldwide. Thanks again for standing with us. Let's close now with Aaron's blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause the light of his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his face to you and give you peace in the name of Yeshua, the Prince of Peace. From Sandy and me and the entire Beth Israel team, thanks for joining us. Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah, everyone.